My name is Kayla, and here at MCTV, we are celebrating Women's History Month. Today, we're interviewing School Board Trustee of San Mateo Foster City School District, Shara Watkins. Go ahead and state your first and last name, and then as well as your role.
Shara Watkins, and I'm a school board trustee for the San Mateo Foster City School District.
Perfect. What does Women's History Month mean to you?
Yeah, I think Women's History Month is an opportunity for us to pause and really honor and reflect on important women that have made contributions historically, that continue to make contributions when I think about the various months that we celebrate groups of individuals that don't always have center stage, that aren't always given opportunity and voice, that are part of groups that are part of groups of people that we really need to lift up. And so Women's History Month is an opportunity for us to do that for all of the really important women.
Perfect. What does the phrase empower women mean to you? And how do you live this in your daily life?
Yeah. I think we have a responsibility as women to lift up other women and to ensure that we are providing opportunity and space and for those other women. And so when I think about my role in a variety of different contexts, I think about my role on the board, and I think about the various other women that have come before me, but that also will be coming after me in various positions in local politics or advocacy work, and really always being available to support those individuals, to provide advice, to provide just space for them to kind of bounce ideas off of, and to encourage other individuals to be to take their seat at the table, to step into these positions of power. So that's kind of one place where that exists. And then I also think, I'm a mom of two young girls. And so I think about just where are the spaces and places where I allow them to be empowered, to be independent, to find their voice, to, so that they feel like they always have a place, and they feel like their voice and experiences and perspective matter. And so I think, kind of in every aspect and facet of identity in life, really thinking about ways to continue to uplift and empower other women and young girls.
Who is the most influential woman you know, and how does she inspire you?
So I think there are lots of influential women, but one that stands out to me as someone that really helped to shape the trajectory of just my life, my career, my educational experience is Hillary Clinton. I went to Wellesley as an undergrad, where Hillary also attended school. I learned about her and Wellesley and her time at Wellesley inspired me to consider Wellesley as a place where I would go. Wellesley is a women's only college. And so that opportunity really gave me an experience of really feeling like I could find my voice, and where I was encouraged to be. They say Wellesley women will make a difference in the world, where I was kind of in this place where all of us were kind of rowing in the same direction and trying to leave our mark, trying to change the world. Had an opportunity to intern in her Senate office when I was at Wellesley, and that inspired me to get kind of early into politics and policy work and thinking about the ways that I could impact and make a difference. So there are many women who really inspired me, but she's definitely someone that I looked up to many years ago and continue to look up to.
You basically already answered the next question, which is what inspired you to become an educator. But did you want to kind of reiterate more into it, like why, like what other aspects made you want to become an educator?
Yeah. When I was in undergrad, I was really thinking about how to make an impact and how to make a direct impact and a quick impact. And so while I kind of dabbled in policy for a little bit, I really when I was, my young 20s, feeling like I needed to make impact much more quickly. And so was encouraged and inspired by some other alums at my school who had gone into teaching. And so made the decision and had always been really passionate about working with children, had spent a lot of time working at children, worked in at our lab school that was affiliated with Wellesley when I was an undergrad. And so it was kind of a natural next step. And, was really, again, thinking about all of the ways that I could make impact. And it was kind of a natural transition for me to think about making an impact in our educational system.
It's like you already knew off the bat.
Right.
Do you have a story that you experienced that is always remembered that helps remind you why you're doing what you're doing today?
Yeah, I think about my own experience as a young girl and feeling like it wasn't until I went to a space that was really intentional about empowering young women, that I really felt like I found my sense of self, that I developed confidence, that I felt empowered, that I felt like I actually could make an impact, that I had place and space, and that my voice, my experience, my perspective mattered. And it's, to me, really important that that not everyone will have that experience and that kind of institution, but how do we create spaces where all young girls feel that way? And I think about intersectionality a lot, right? I think about young girls, and I also think about my identity as a Black woman and kind of all of these other areas where there's intersectionality in terms of ways that we do not allow people to find, where we subconsciously or inadvertently or really directly tell people that they do or don't belong in certain spaces, that their experience and their voice doesn't matter. And so for me, it's really thinking about, now being on the board, thinking about how at a larger systemic level are we creating those spaces for our students, for our young girls, for a lot of different groups of individuals that have historically been marginalized, oppressed, and that's, really what keeps me motivated to engage in this work. And then now as a mom of two little girls, it's even more personal.
Being part of the San Mateo Foster City School District as a school board trustee, what obstacles do you face and what strategies do you use to overcome these challenges?
So one of the things that, one of the motivating factors for me in terms of running for the board was to really think about how we address inequity in our school districts. So our school district is not unlike many school districts in our county, many school districts in our state, many school districts in our country, where we have significant disproportionality, where we have students in our schools that do really well, and we have students in our schools that we continue to fail year after year. And we have predictable patterns of achievement in our district, and you can really often draw a line between someone's socioeconomic status, their race, the language that they speak at home, and how they're going to do in our schools. The major motivation for me in terms of joining the board was to actually change some of those outcomes. And that work is really hard. When you start to disrupt systems that were intended to produce the outcomes that we see, that were intended to produce these patterns of achievement that are predictable, that are intended to, quite bluntly, uphold white supremacy, it's challenging to change those. And when you start to kind of shift those plates, people resist, particularly people who have benefited from the way that the system has always worked. And so I would say that those are some of the biggest challenges. I think in terms of strategies, there are a lot of allies in this work. Trustee Corzo, who you'll be speaking to, is someone that I collaborate with a lot. All of my board trustees we all have different experiences and different perspectives about exactly how to achieve this work. We're all aligned that this work is important and that we need to address equity issues in our district. And we have a lot of community members that have been waiting for this work to begin. We have district staff that are just digging in. And so it's really about finding allies in this work and knowing that despite it being challenging, it's the right thing for our kids, and using that as our North Star and our guide.
You're just on top of everything. You already just answered the next question. If you do want to talk about this more, why is it important that more women are represented in the workplace?
So I think representation is really important because we all bring unique experiences and perspectives based on our identity. And so my identity as a woman is going to shape the way that I see particular policies, that I see particular experiences, that I view the way a particular meeting is happening. That's going to be different from somebody that is a man. My identity as a Black woman is going to be different from the identity of a white woman. So all of these different identities impact the way that we approach this work. And so when you have diversity in these seats and in these positions, you're really able to in a genuine and authentic way think about how you're making policy decisions that really are representative and reflective of the students and community that you're serving. And when you don't, you're often missing that lens in your decision making. And while you can get that information, and while even I am getting that information from our stakeholders because I do not speak for everyone that looks like me. It's helpful to bring in that experience and perspective, and that really does help to shape the way that we engage in this policy work.
Last question. What message would you like to send out to women and girls everywhere?
Mm-hmm. I think one of the most important messages, or one of the things that kind of sinks into me that I think is just important for all women and girls to hear is that you belong, and your experience, your voice, your perspective matters. And I think the more that people try to question you, the more that people try to push you out of spaces, that is your cue to keep pushing harder to be in those spaces and to keep using your voice. Again, it's a system working to uphold a particular perspective, experience, and when you start to shift those systems, it makes people uncomfortable. And so continue to be in those spaces, continue to use your voice, and don't let other people tell you that you don't belong or that your experience or perspective isn't valid.
Thank you for watching this MCTV original. To support local production, donate at mctv.tv. Thank you.